I'm sure a lot of people watching this video have already watched The Legend of Technoblade by EvanMCGaming. It's a pretty good video where Evan goes over all of Technoblade's big accomplishments throughout his YouTube career. That video proposes a theory that Technoblade is the best Minecraft player, as shown by his 6-year-long journey on YouTube. This is a common sentiment held by many people in the Minecraft community, that Technoblade is the best Minecraft PvPer. However, if you strip away all the funny memes and WWE style hype, is Technoblade really that good? Is he really a legendary PvPer everyone says he is? Or are there much better PvPers than him? After doing a bit of research, I'll be trying to answer this question. Real quick before I start the video. This video will only go over Technoblade's PvP ability and not his overall skill at Minecraft. Simply because that would be way too hard and I'm way more interested in PvP than I am other aspects of Minecraft. Out of all the different events Evan talks about in his video, I will only be covering the events highlighted on screen. I might talk about some stuff Evan didn't cover, but those events will be related to PvP. Now let's begin the analysis. So one of the biggest reasons people think Technoblade is the best PvPer is due to him best in Dream in the duel for $100,000. A lot of people assume Dream is one of the best PvPers, so Technoblade beating him must mean he's one of the best as well. Well, I'm sorry to break the news to you all, but Dream is nowhere near being the best PvPer, at least for 1.8. I go more into detail on this in my previous video where I talk about if Dream is the best PvPer. But beating Dream does not really mean much. I bet that any Badline, Lunar, or Gomi Sweat could probably match Technoblade's 4-1 record against Dream in 1.8, and some could probably 5-0 him. After that, all they need to do is beat Dream once or twice in his own game mode. While Dream certainly isn't bad, it isn't like Technoblade beats someone like Dante or Exus or Arison in their prime. Technoblade beating Dream does not mean much, as although Dream is very hyped up, his PvP skill pales in comparison to better players. Another big reason people consider Technoblade to be the best is because he dominated Minecraft Championship. I also touched on this point in the video I made for Dream, but again, this doesn't mean much. Many of the players in Minecraft Championship are not very good at PvP. Plus, Minecraft Championship has way more than just PvP game modes. So we can't really assume Technoblade is the best PvPer, just because he does well in a somewhat PvP oriented tournament against people who only play SMP and The Sims. Probably the biggest reason people think Technoblade is the best PvPer is his Minecraft Monday record. Out of 13 weeks, Technoblade was always in the top 3, and he won 4 times. Not only that, but a lot of the players in Minecraft Monday were absolutely huge. Mr. Beast, Ninja, PewDiePie, James Charles, etc. A lot of big mainstream creators and their fanbases saw Technoblade dominating the tournament, and just assumed that Techno was the best. However, Minecraft Monday falls into a lot of the same traps Minecraft Championship does. The majority of its players are absolutely terrible at Minecraft, and would stand no chance in a 1v1 against a Badline UHC player or a MC PvP Hunger Games player. Minecraft Monday is also more than just PvP, and has some build-in and parkour game modes. However, you would at least expect Technoblade to be the best Minecraft Monday player, right? To find the best Minecraft Monday player, I looked at some of the top players for each week and found their average points per week by adding up all their individual points and then dividing by the number of weeks they played. This makes it fairer so that the players who played the most, like Technoblade, won't just win because they have participated in the most weeks. Technoblade averaged 801 points per game, and that was actually the best average I found for the first 10 weeks. However, for the last 3 weeks, 2 new players joined that shook things up. The first player is quite obvious, and that is Existorio. Existorio only played twice, but he made the most of it and he averaged 838 points per week. While Engau's score is certainly impressive, as it is almost 40 points ahead of Technoblade's, it pales in comparison to the number 1 player, Aqua. Aqua is a professional Fortnite player from Germany, but before he played Fortnite, he was a Badline UHC player. At least I think he was. I don't remember him being in the community at that time, but he follows a bunch of players from that era on Twitter, so he was probably a part of it. Aqua was only in week 11 of Minecraft Monday. While everyone was fighting over if A6C should be allowed to play, Aqua amounted a staggering 960 points. That is almost 160 points ahead of Technoblade's. Now, Aqua was only in 1 week, so you could make the argument that Technoblade is still the best Minecraft Monday player, because he consistently got good scores while Aqua just showed up once and almost got 1,000 points. While that is true, Techno had momentum from previous weeks going into each tournament. Aqua had no previous experience specifically playing in Minecraft Monday, and only had one shot to beat Technoblade and everybody else, and yet he did. After Minecraft Mondays ended, Minecraft Saturdays began. Minecraft Saturdays would be a much more difficult event than Minecraft Mondays. It had way more of an emphasis on PvP, and there were much better players in the tournament than in Minecraft Mondays. If Technoblade wanted to prove he was the best PvPer, he would have to dominate this tournament as well. And when the time came, Technoblade declined the offer and said it looked like hell. Now from a content creation point, I can understand why Technoblade said no to Minecraft Saturdays. The event was not very popular and he wouldn't gain anything from it. But as someone who is trying to find the best PvPer, this move can only be described as a little bitch boy pussy move. In my humble opinion, Technoblade was too afraid of getting smacked around by a bunch of French UHC players to agree to join the tournament. When you start to think about it, this could apply to other tournaments as well. Technoblade was never in UHC on air, despite being good friends with the organizer, the Best Ginger 13. He was in a different UHC tournament, United UHC, but despite that being much less competitive, he just messed around the entire time. Technoblade seems to avoid tournaments with better players in them, potentially in an attempt to keep the myth of him being the best PvPer alive. If you don't believe me, here is a clip from a video by the Best Ginger 13, one of Technoblade's earliest YouTube friends talking about why Technoblade doesn't join many tournaments.
Techno was dominant in the sphere of Minecraft Monday and other events. He would win them easily and with dominance. However, this led to his audience being extremely upset and mad at him when he wasn't dominant in a specific event. As a result, Techno was very frugal with what invites to events he accepted. And I mean no disrespect here, but the ones he denied were most often the ones with the best players that would most likely be able to beat Techno. But it makes perfect sense why he did this because of the expectations his fans had on him that he was the best.
However, there was that one time he actually did join a tournament with quite a handful of well-respected PvPers, so we should probably talk about that. On July 24th, 2020, Minecraft Ultimate announced that FaZe Jarvis and FaZe K have dropped out of the tournament, and that Technoblade would be filling in for them. His teammates would be Existorio and Calvin. When the day of the tournament came, Technoblade and his teammates absolutely dominated, killing 116 people out of around 220. It was spectacular, and many people think this event cemented Technoblade as a legendary PvPer. However, let's step back for a second and examine just how Technoblade won this tournament. In Minecraft Ultimate, you can donate money to a participant, and they will receive a lucky block which could give them gear, food, or most importantly, materials like diamonds and XP bottles. Diamonds and XP bottles are super rare materials in Minecraft Ultimate. Your team might get just enough diamonds to make 1 or 2 people diamond swords, and enchant a few armor pieces. However, you could receive insane amounts of diamonds and XP bottles through the Lucky Block system, if you could donate tens of thousands of dollars. Technoblade took advantage of this fact, and told his fanbase to donate to him so he could abuse this system. In total, his fans ended up giving him $11,000 in order to get ridiculous gear that virtually no other player in the game could get, due to not having a fanbase as willing to spend money as his. I believe the person who had the second highest amount donated was the captain, who only managed to scrape together $1,000. I'm willing to bet that at least 1/3 of the players in Minecraft Ultimate Season 2 could have won with over 100 kills if they were given the exact same loot Technoblade was given, but were physically unable to due to not having a massive fan base. Now one could argue that what Technoblade did to win the tournament was okay, as it was all for charity. The $11,000 given to Technoblade were actually given to a charity the event was partnered with. This is all fine and dandy, and it is definitely very good that all the money went to charity instead of a prize pool for the winners. But it still doesn't change the fact that Technoblade had a huge advantage compared to every other player in the tournament that massively increased his odds of winning. Him winning this tournament doesn't mean anything because he had a huge advantage, even if the advantage was in the name of goodwill and charity. There are also a few minor misconceptions about Technoblade's Minecraft Ultimate performance as well. Technoblade and his team did not kill over half the game. When a player dies in Minecraft Ultimate, they go to a gulag where they basically get a 50-50 chance to respawn. This means that 50% of players will end up respawning. You can also respawn players through the use of respawn stars, and that happens probably around 30 times per game. So although there were only 220 players, I'm willing to bet that there were probably around 360 deaths in the tournament. This means that Technoblade and his team only ended up contributing to a little less than 1/3 of the deaths in the event. Also, a lot of people like to hype up the 3v21 fight at the end. And though that was probably the most impressive part for Technoblade, it wasn't really much of a fight. Most of the remaining players just kinda gave up fighting. If the players really did all try to fight Technoblade and his team and rush them, maybe things would have worked out differently, but I still doubt it considering how much of an advantage Technoblade had. So at this point, it isn't really looking good for Technoblade. All of his so-called accomplishments were either done with a huge advantage on his side, or his competition was very weak. However, he has one more trick up his sleeve, before he blew up in the mainstream. Technoblade was just your average Hypixel player. He tryharded Bedwars and Skywars just like dozens of other no-names. Well, he actually did have a couple 100,000 subscribers by the time Minecraft Monday started. But still, let's start with Bedwars first. What Technoblade is really known for is the win streak, where he and his friends tryharded Bedwars to try to get a win streak of over 1400. This was the record at that time, and considered absolutely insane. Since then, the only person who has managed to break it is a guy by the name of Phone, who teamed up with Technoblade for a section of his run. This is an incredible feat, but playing devil's advocate, Technoblade wasn't the sole contributor to this win streak. He did it with a team, and it just so happened that his team decided to pick him to be the official win streak keeper. Someone like Hasco could just as easily have gotten the win streak if Technoblade and his team chose him to be the win streak keeper. It is here where I decided it is time to analyze Techno's stats and Hypixel and pull out this spreadsheet. Now, we cannot base a player's entire PvP skill on stats alone. However, if a player's most played game mode stats is noticeably worse than a lot of their contemporaries, we could probably rule them out of being the best PvPer. I did this with Dream last episode. So for Bedwars, I looked at 20 prominent player stats on Plink.io, including GamerBoy80, Manhole IQ, and Techno's win streak buddies. I looked at a few statistics, including Bedwars level, total final kills, total deaths, and total wins. However, the most important statistic, in my opinion, was the final kills per final death ratio and the wins per loss ratio. I figured that whoever has the highest in both would probably be the best Bedwars player, or at least one of the best. It is important to note that there are dozens of game modes for Bedwars, most notably solos, doubles, triples, and quads. I decided to group them all together as the biggest ones are very similar to each other, while the more experimental game modes people don't play very often. A full link to the spreadsheet where I marked everything down will be in the description if you want to follow along. For my makeshift leaderboards, Technoblade was second on the final kills per death ratio leaderboard with 77.39 final kills per final death. However, the person above him, Phone, is massively in the lead, and he has a ratio of 109.12 final kills per final death. For the win-lose ratio leaderboard, Technoblade was fourth with around 19 wins per loss. The players above him were Jin, Phone, and Hasco, with the latter two having win-lose ratios of around 30 wins per loss. Clearly, Technoblade is very good at Bedwars, but he certainly isn't statistically the best. Phone got higher than him both times, and Hasco also has a higher average placement than Technoblade. However, these are still insane numbers. For comparison, let's look at the official Plink.io leaderboards. Now, these leaderboards are very flawed. For some reason, Technoblade isn't on them, and neither is Hasco for that matter. I couldn't find any reason for why they aren't on the leaderboard. Maybe they were excluded due to their ranks, but it's certain that there are more missing people I don't know about on these leaderboards. But this is the most official leaderboard we are gonna get, and the one that is supposed to include every Bedwars player on Hypixel. If Technoblade was included, he would be 31st on the win-lose ratio leaderboard, and 7th on the final kill per death ratio. This leaderboard is supposed to be out of every player on the whole server, and this is absolutely insane. Well, we have to take this with a grain of salt as the Plink leaderboards are flawed for including him in the first place, but taken as face value, this makes Technoblade one of the most statistically best Hypixel Bedwars players. However, this does not make him the best. As previously stated, Phone has a higher placement than Techno on both leaderboards. Not only that, but the top two players on both Plink leaderboards are the players Bombies and Smek. While I haven't heard of these players, I looked Bombies up, and she is a pretty well-known YouTuber, so I am assuming that she is at least a legit player. Plus, I would say her stats are more impressive than Smek's, so I'll focus on Bombies instead. Her win-loss record is around 125 wins per loss. Bombi's final kill per death ratio is at an astounding 277.6 final kills per final deaths. Both of these numbers are much higher than Technoblade's, so we cannot say Techno is statistically the best Bedwars player. Skywars, on the other hand, is a much different story. I used the same method for ranking Skywars players that I used for Bedwars players. First, I found 20 prominent Skywars player stats, specifically their kill-death ratio and win-loss ratio. I then also compared Technoblade to the Plank.io leaderboards, although once again he is absent, and what I found was shocking. So this is the current leaderboard I have without Technoblade's numbers. The top players seem to be Refraction, A0E, Polika, and Crabman Jones. They are the only players with an average kill-death ratio of above 6, and the only players with more wins than losses. That's pretty good, but Technoblade stats blow them all out of the water. Technoblade's kill-death ratio in Skywars is an astounding 12.56, nearly 3 more than Crabman Jones's, and his win-lose ratio is 2.4, which is 0.7 ahead of Polika's. It isn't like these stats are boosted by only playing game modes like Ranked Skywars, where it's statistically easier to win, or Mega Skywars, where it's statistically easier to get a kill. Technoblade has played 5 times as many solo Insane Skywars games, and he has Ranked and Mega Skywars games combined. However, it is time to move on to the big boys. Sure, Technoblade is the best out of these well-known players, but the real test of skill is the Plank.io leaderboards, even though they are probably missing some people and are very flawed. So, I decided to see where Technoblade stood on that leaderboard, and holy cow, he is second place on both. Under the Plank.io leaderboard, Technoblade is statistically the second best Skywars player on all of Hypixel, and it is kind of insane to think about. In fact, the only dude above him is a guy named Laters. On the Hypixel forums, there have been numerous threads calling him a hacker, but that somehow hasn't been banned yet. While I was unable to find any direct proof of this, there is a good chance that Technoblade is the #1 statistically best Skywars player if Laters isn't legit. After all this research and data collecting, what can we potentially conclude from this? Well, while Technoblade might not be the best PvPer, he is certainly one of the statistically best Bedwars players, potentially the statistically best Skywars player. However, we cannot conclude he is the best PvPer overall, due to choosing many of the tournaments he joins and refusing to join tournaments with tough competition. Of course, you should take all this with a grain of salt. If Technoblade can get removed from the Plank.io leaderboards, there's a good chance people with much higher stats than him have also gotten kicked. Plus, statistics aren't everything, even if Technoblade has the best stats. Overall, I hope this video can settle what seems to be a pretty big debate. Many people either think Technoblade is the best PvPer to ever play, or not very good and highly overrated. The truth isn't as black and white as that. Technoblade is a very good PvPer, but calling him the very best PvPer isn't right either. Best Skywars player? Maybe, but I think the Hypixel Skywars community would highly disagree with that assessment. He's probably somewhere in high B to low A tier, if I had to put him on a tier list with a lot of PvPers in different communities. If you have any suggestions for who I should cover next on this series, make sure you leave your suggestion in the comments below. I plan on covering the Badline UHC community in one big video, so stay tuned for that. But for now, I will see you next time.